Welcome back to my channel. Danny here. I'm joined by Dan Man. We're going to be talking about Batman Flashpoint. No, sorry, it's not Batman Flashpoint. It's called Flash. But this movie did feel like a Batman movie, so we'll go ahead and talk about that. Again, thank you for joining us and stay tuned. So, Dan Man, we recently both watched The Flash. I wanted to wait before I made a video because I want to talk spoilers. There's a lot to talk about here, and there's lots of spoilers. We're going to talk about a lot. But, D, overall impression of this movie, what did you think?
It was really, really entertaining. Beginning to end, the pacing of this movie was as fast as the Flash. Like it just kept the momentum going, and it was just really, really entertaining. Like it was really well put together. Never a dull moment. It kept me engaged. I'm like, yo, what's gonna happen next? And a lot of great action sequences and great character development. Just kept it a really good comic film, like great Flash movie.
Yeah, I agree. And what I really liked most about the movie is that everything that happened had a payoff. There was a reason why things were happening.
Yeah.
There were setups at, earlier in the movie where you would see the payoff later on in the film, which was really, really cool. But let's talk about the first thing we need to talk about, right? Ezra Miller. We know about all the drama in real life. To me, I've always been big on if I love the art, I'm gonna disregard the artist and just appreciate the art for what it is. That's not to say we justify or I justify what he did, because homeboy is tripping and I hope he gets all the help he needs. But he did an amazing job, man. Like, I have to give him props. He acted against himself. He played two different versions of Barry because these were two completely different people, right? But as far as his performance, what did you think?
I thought he did a great job for all the reasons you just mentioned. He had to pretty much play against himself, two different versions of himself, but throughout their interaction, which looked very convincing because of his acting, it always felt like two different people. It could have been like a twin brother or something, but it was definitely, two different versions. Like you could tell from the tone of the way they spoke, like the way they acted, everything. He just completely nailed it, and just the based off, I guess the motive behind the characters was very driven to be a certain way. One character was just trying to get back home. He had powers, lost powers. The other one was acting brand new, like, wow, now I could do this, and just completely motivated by how he could move, and it was just very interesting and very convincing how real that felt. Like, yo, these are two different people.
He was able to carry the movie, man. And not even once but twice, like you said. Like, there's two different versions, two different characters that he's playing, and he does a very convincing job. And it was peppered with some flawed CGI, man. And the weird thing, it was with scenes that I feel didn't really necessarily require CGI. But with that being said, it just to kind of give an example of which points, there was a part where the two Flashes, the two Barrys are in the back of the Batwing, and Batman's in the front. They're flying, going off to mission, but you see, Barry with the mask on, but you can tell that his face is CGI, right? Which was really weird. It was like, wait a minute, like, why couldn't you just have the actual actor play the role and you cut the scene to make it seem like they're talking to each other? But this was a scene where whoever the body double was, the face here was CGI to look like Ezra Miller, and he was speaking to the camera, and it was just him. It wasn't like it was both of them at the same time. It was like you see him on one side of Batman, which to me struck me as odd, because you saw a little bit of that CGI where they were trying to make human. And I'm not even talking about the babies at the beginning of the movie, because listen, we all know there aren't stunt doubles young enough to play babies, right?
A lot of really.
Yeah, yeah. What did you think about some of the special effects? And did you even notice it? Because maybe it could have just been me.
No, it was painfully obvious that the CGI, budget was on a budget, and there were certain things that just didn't look as good as it could have been or as convincing, and it doesn't. I don't think it ruins the movie. You can understand what's happening, so it doesn't take away from the story. Just visually, it's like, okay, that could have been done better. From what I'm seeing, there's rumors online that the directors are saying that it was something done on purpose. The producers are saying it was something on purpose. I don't buy that at all, but that's the the sort of headlines I'm seeing around on social media, that it's supposed to look like that purposely because Flash sees things a certain way because of the speed he's going at. That thing's, I guess weird or funny like that. I don't buy into that at all. I would think that he's going so fast that things slow down and he could actually see things clearly, which is what actually happens. That he sees things so very clearly because he's going so fast. So if anything, things should actually look a lot more crisp. But like I said, it doesn't. I don't think the special effects ruined anything other than visually, story-wise. You kind of, I understood everything that's happening, so it doesn't take away from the entertainment aspect or following along with what these characters are going through and what the Flash had to deal with, and him jumping into action.
A great example of how story and character trumps all, because there was some CGI that was just like wow, but it didn't take me out of the movie. There were moments where I'm seeing this and I'm like, oh, what am I looking at? But then like there's something else is going on screen that I'm like engaged. So like they had me, so it didn't ruin the experience for me. The movie and the story itself was really good, very engaging, very action-packed, and hilarious. I can't even say funny. I have to say this movie was hilarious, and not in a Thor Love and Thunder kind of way. It was just funny and fitting to the character, right? Because the way this movie started, man, I was in tears. Like, he just wanted his breakfast. He shows up to the cafe, his usual girl isn't there, right? He probably had a crush on her because she knew exactly what he wanted every day. But you got this dude who's like super slow, and he has to answer the call, right? Because now he got Alfred. He got Alfred calling him, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, dude, Batman needs you. And he's like, yo, why every time they need me is like it's Batman, like something Batman did. That whole beginning scene with the hospital and the babies, I was floored. Like, that to me was so unique and such an interesting way to start a movie. Even from the moment that he ran out of the cafe and he was about to speed off and the girls start screaming, but right before they started screaming, you see the Flash logo, the title card about to come up, but then he loses focus and he's like all nervous, and he's like, oh, you gonna eat that candy bar? Throw me that candy bar.
Yeah,
but then Alfred calls him again. He gets distracted. The candy bar smacks him in the face, and his energy is depleted, right? Like, he needs some calories.
I love the beginning. The whole opening sequence stuff was awesome, with like the Flash, title just being interrupted by screaming fans. You know what was actually really funny to me that you mentioned is the fact that Alfred calls him, tells him, hey, Batman needs your help, and he's like, well, where's Superman, or where's Wonder Woman? Like, why does it always have to be me? And it's just funny because I think every person has been in that position at their job where it's like, oh, we need your help. And it's like, well, we're so and so. Why can't that person pitch in? Like, why do you gotta call me? Like, other people work here too. So I thought that was funny. because he was just like, all right, I know I got superpowers, but I'm not the only one with superpowers.
Yeah.
So that was funny. Uh, there was I think some of the funnier stuff was when he was trying to deal with himself, the other version of himself, and I guess trying to keep it together and trying to like have himself help him get back to where he needs to be. And, and just like there was this part where he was trying to run and he had already lost his powers, and so when he was trying to like jumpstart, like thinking that he could do what he normally does, he just looked like he was figure skating.
Yeah.
Just
inside the building where they were trying to escape the lab, and he's running around in a circle in the hallway. And what I loved about it is that he just kept on going, thinking like something was gonna happen.
And to me, I thought it was just so funny because it's very hard to nail like physical humor like that.
Yeah.
Like him like waving his arms the way he does, because he does like this pose when he's about to start running. He always like centers himself and like puts himself in position to like go. And so he did that, and you're thinking like, yo, he's about to like, you know, he still got it, and it's like, no, he doesn't. He's just like going around in circles, like looking ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was just funny for physical humor, and to me that just had me laughing because I'm like, yo, you look stupid.
Even the way he was portraying the two Barrys, they had different comedic cues, and they did different things that were funny. Did you see the ending coming? Right, like they kind of hinted at that when Flash first hit the Speed Force, and you see that creature just like hitting him, and that's why he landed, 10 years prior. But what were your thoughts on younger Barry becoming this evil being or this creature?
No, I didn't see that coming at all. I was, when it initially happened, when that version of him sort of knocked him out of the loop and all that, I just thought like that could have been a possibility. And but I didn't, I was just paying attention to whatever was happening at the moment. I thought it was very interesting that they went that route. It was just really dope.
So we had two Flashes, right? We had two Batmen, or that's not counting any of the little Easter eggs. But what were your thoughts on Batman?
Well, I loved how they portrayed Batman because the Ben Affleck version has been very like, he does these really fantastic physical things that it hasn't been done in a Batman film in a very long time. Him just being skating through the streets behind a Hummer and like just sort of grappling on and like just kind of windsurfing almost on the street. And then just like the whole motorcycle thing, like just taking a beating and blocking shots and staying on course. Just a badass Batman. That's what I see when he's huge, like as far as like muscles and all that stuff, and so it's very like menacing or like intimidating, and it's just cool to see him use like the bike, the gadgets. Like I think it's just very impressive. Like it's a Batman.
Yeah, to me, all I kept on, like, I felt like I was looking at an actual Batman comic and panels just, flying off the page because, he was getting hit by cars. He was flying up in the air. He was, like you said, windsurfing, trying to avoid bullets and whatnot. And it was such a great display of what Batman can do that we have not seen in any other movies, right? And the fact that Ben Affleck is such an imposing force, and the way they even showed him in Batman v Superman, with those huge muscles all hulked up and whatnot, like you believe that this version of Batman could actually get hit by a car and continue chasing the bad guy, right? But I also loved Michael Keaton's portrayal. Like, I loved the fact that, first and foremost, what I loved was that he accomplished the mission. Right? Gotham was one of the safest cities in the world. And he was just retired, chilling, making food, pasta, growing a big old beard, and letting his hair grow. But when he went into action and he said, "You want to get crazy? Let's get crazy." Like, dude, that was it. Like when they went to Russia and he was fighting the soldiers, like he was dominating. Even at the end of the movie when they were going against the Kryptonians, I'm like, yo, this dude's like 80 years old and he's still kicking butt. But then, he was also a very intellectual Batman. He broke down the multiverse and the whole trying to change time and the past. You end up changing the future. Like the way he explained it was so elementary, but it made so much sense. And it was with a bowl of spaghetti. So Batman in this movie was great, which I have to say, I'm super excited that Andy Muschietti is going to direct Batman Brave and the Bold, because he did awesome with Batman. Like, he's legit. He's up there with, hey, if there's anyone that could direct the Batman, he's it, man. So I was really impressed what they did with Batman.
Yeah, I'm hoping that anything they do with him going forward, with the character Batman going forward, that they they keep it to that level of excitement and all out, like all aspects of Batman. Because I don't think we get that a lot from the last few iterations, as great as they've been for their own, from their own perspective. They're great stories. In this version of Batman, I feel like you get like every bit of what Batman is from that direction.
The end of the movie, I mentioned kind of the end of the movie, but what were your thoughts? Because I didn't see it coming when they hit, and in this movie they call it the parallel intersection or something like that, where it's a moment where like this has to happen because this is exactly the same in whatever universe you go to. This is a intersection where you can't change it. So we kept on seeing Zod be successful and killing Supergirl, Batman, and like that, just repeating in a loop. I didn't see that coming. When that happened, I was like, whoa, what the heck is going on? But this is a Flash movie, and they kind of had to bring it back to the Speed Force and just kind of show how did this mess really happen. But
it was cool to see what would have happened, obviously, if Superman wasn't around. Because he wasn't in that world. And just everything that transpired, like how they fought, how they teamed up together, how, the fact that it took, all of them to take out Zod and get things under control, as opposed to just one Superman. It's just really dope and really interesting to see. And it gives a lot of actually credit to Superman of how powerful he is.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up. For me, I love the action and everything, but what made this movie for me, as far as the ending goes, was that scene in the grocery store with the can of tomatoes and him running into his mom. Like, that killed me, man. But it was so beautiful. The way Ezra Miller played the scene, the way his mother, the actress, I don't know the actress's name, but the way she played the scene, it was just amazing. Like, it was heartwarming but gut-wrenching at the same time, but it was something that he knew he had to do. And the fact that she gave him that hug was almost as this confirmation, like, hey, you know what's right, you know what's best, do what you need to do. And he knew what he had to do, right? So I thought that was a beautiful scene. And any final thoughts, anything else you want to share about the Flash movie?
It was a dope movie. Great action, great entertainment, great comedy, great different Batmen from Affleck to Keaton to even Clooney showed up. So we had all these different Batmen, and it was all good. But it was a really dope story. Just really great Flash movie. A great Flash movie. For it being the first one, they completely nailed it with who the character is and just everything about it was on point.
The movie caught me by surprise. I saw the trailers and it looked great to me. I was like, all right, Pat, I'm gonna go see this movie. But it actually exceeded my expectations, so I'm glad with what came out. That beginning intro scene to the movie was excellent, and I love at the end credits where you got to see everything from a different point of view, which was hysterical. Then we got that after credit scene, so apparently Jason Momoa, Aquaman looks like Jason Momoa in every universe. So we'll see if he ends up reprising his role in James Gunn's DCU. But we do have Aquaman 2 coming out, so we got to see how that plays out. So, but D, thank you so much for joining me today. That's gonna do it for this video. If you guys have seen Flash, if you liked it, if you didn't like it, let us know. Drop a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up, share, subscribe, hit the notifications bell to stay up to date with my content. And until next time, that is a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us.